right, so this next video is really going to get into the crux of how I'm finding manipulation in the market, and we are going to be looking at liquidity injections. Now, I don't want to fluff this up. I want to keep this video as straight to the point as possible. Liquidity injections basically help you find not just liquidity in the market, but the manipulative range of the liquidity in the market. Now, it sounds very confusing. It's actually a very, very simple concept. Basically, what we're going to be learning how to use today is my custom liquidity cycle indicator, which is primarily just showing imbalance in the market, but there is a specific way to identify liquidity using these imbalances in the market. As we can clearly see, we have both a seller's imbalance and both a buyer's imbalance, right? Yellow representing the sellers and purple, in this case, representing the buyers. I know the indicator at default may paint black instead of purple. You can just go ahead and change that in the settings by clicking the settings here and altering the colors that you may want, right? And then you can alter the visibility as well based on time. But I recommend not touching this. And if you're gonna touch something, just probably mess with this. Anyways, to get right into it, how do we identify liquidity injections, right? Well, it's actually very simple. The first thing that we need to do is identify the true imbalance in the market. As you can see here, we have a yellow or a seller's imbalance in the market. And once we have an imbalance in the market, the first thing that we need to do after we have discovered or identified a true imbalance is identify the following candle after that imbalance in the market. In this case, the first imbalance in the market, right, the first candle after this imbalance is a bullish candle, right? Understanding that our first candle was a bullish candle, right, we now want to see our injection end with another bullish candle, right? So whatever we start with is what we must end with, right? So in this case, because we started with a bullish candle, we must end with a bullish candle. In between it, there must be bearish candles, right? Considering that anything in between this bullish candle and this bullish candle is considered the manipulative injection range, right? And we can call that manipulative injection range, right? The MIR. You probably never heard of it because I came up with it, right? There's no one else teaching what these liquidity injections are in the market. Why? Because I had an idea that I gave a coder who was able to code this for me, and it's working out pretty well. Understanding, now that we know how to identify it, if we understand that this is our first bullish candle and this is our last bullish candle, then we understand that from this point here to this point here, this bullish candle is our manipulative range. So here's our liquidity injection, and it works just like so. What we want to do is we want to drag it across, and we can see the manipulation occurring out of the box. What happens? Works just like inducement, right? We have manipulation coming out of the injection, manipulating the injection, and then price moving to the opposite side. And then we have price manipulating the top of the injection and then moving to the opposite side. We have to understand that once this box is formed, right, we have entered phase one of the injection box. How many phases are there within the injection box? We're going to go over that. There is phase one, phase two, and phase three. Now, within these phases, we can have different types of stop hunts. All right, so we're going to go over raid and run stop hunts, medium hunts, and crowdsourced hunts. These are going to be the main phases and hunts within the liquidity cycle, and this is going to change a complete understanding of how you see price. right? There's no one else teaching this, right? So you are in for a real treat. Right after we have completed phase one of the market, we need to identify how the market has manipulated both sides of the market. What do we see here on phase one? After phase one, right, the market manipulates the injection, right? Once we have manipulated the injection, we need to identify how it manipulated the injection. We clearly have a candle closure below the injection. If we have 1 to 3 candle closures outside of the injection, that is considered a crowdsourced stop hunt. Now, what can a crowdsourced stop hunt do? It can be used as a POI or an order block, right? Once we have that stop hunt, we clearly understand that we have done what? We have swept liquidity, which has allowed us to obtain this order block, which, as we can see, was clearly respected. What can we see up here? Price has done what to the manipulative range? Price has come up, wicked it, and ran. We call these rate and runs, R&R stop hunts. What does this mean? Price will definitely not act as an OB. It will act as a liquidity target, showing in the future this wick needs to get taken out. All right, so what does that mean? Basically, what we're about to do now is identify the liquidity cycles in the market. This right here, we are now entering phase two. I just want to show you how this all works in the market. Here are our stop hunts. I usually mark my stop hunts out with arrows. This right here would be phase two. I know we have entered phase two. And what type of stop hunt was it? It was a rate and run. R&R, meaning what? We're most likely going to get taken out again. I understand that phase two down here is crowdsourced, right? So because phase two is crowdsourced, I have an understanding that this sweep right here might be used as a POI. Our last phase, which is phase three, is generally the most powerful phase in the market. Right, this right here would be phase three, right? And it looks to me that this would be a medium hunt, right? A medium hunt is a combo of R&R and a crowdsourced hunt. This basically means we either get taken out or used as a POI. But what we need to understand is phase three, right? So what is phase three? Phase three means we are grabbing liquidity for the third time, right? Once we grab liquidity for the third time, generally, that is our one of the highest, or phase one's the highest probability, right? Phase two is the least probable. Phase three is the second most probable, right? So phase three means we're grabbing liquidity for the third time, also meaning we have the second highest chance of reversing at this liquidity grab, right? So hopefully price is going to come, induce these highs, and then reverse, right? So we can expect price to come in, reverse, reverse, something like so. Now, how do injections work? They primarily work only on the daily and 4-hour time frames, right? Yes, you can use them on the hourly, but I would primarily stick to using them on the 4-hour and daily time frame. Let me show you from a bar replay perspective what I mean. Let's go ahead and hop into the 4-hour and do a couple of examples. Let's go ahead and do this as our first imbalance. Here we already know what's going on with the daily. The one thing we don't know with the daily yet is this stop hunt hasn't occurred yet. All right, so let's get rid of all this. Get used to not annotating so much, because what annotating is going to do is it's going to cause your chart to get very, very messy. And when your chart gets overly messy, right, you are unable to have chart hygiene. Chart hygiene is very important. Anyways, let's move in to understanding phase one here. Here are prices on the 4-hour, right? We've clearly already understood from a higher time frame perspective that this is the daily injection, right? We've clearly seen before from the higher time frames that our most recent stop hunt was here. Remember, I said structure doesn't tell you direction. Liquidity tells you direction. So I can understand that I am going to remain bullish until price stop hunts my outer injection here, right? So what does that mean? I am primarily only going to be looking for buys until I stop hunt the top here. We're about to have another injection, right? We can clearly see we just had a purple imbalance, right? Remember, whatever we start with, we must end with. So with that being said, here's our first black bar. We must see a gray bar. Here's our first gray bar. So we must now see a black bar to end our injection. There's our black bar. Let's go ahead and draw our injection in. We can clearly see that price needs to come manipulate these lows and or these highs for us to even consider buying or selling. Now, in this case, we can clearly see and know that we are in a bullish market, right? So our most probable option here would be for price to manipulate these lows and continue higher. Again, I'm not going over entry criteria right now. We were just going over how to draw injections, how to identify injections on the daily and 4-hour, and where a most possible POI might be based on the current time frames we are on. Let's understand, knowing that our injection is right here and that our most probable move is here. Remember, I talked about in video 1, all wicks are imbalances. All wicks are OBs. Where's our most recent wicks? Here and here. This little tiny thing, yeah. Whichever one gets mitigated first is what I'm most likely going to take. So we can see in this scenario, we have around a 2.1 pips SL. We are aiming for our highs here. This will be our most probable move for a 1 to 55. I do not instant entry ever, really. Most of my students know that. This is a possibility, and my goal here is to show you every possibility so that you can create your own unique trading style through the concepts I have learned. Let's watch what happens as we manipulate this box. We can see price comes, manipulates just a tiny bit out of this box, right? Our injection, and price starts to move the opposite way. Boom. Here we've hit our target, right? We knew price was going to reverse and or stop hunt the daily injection here for us to move the opposite way. TP hit for around a 1 to 55. We now know what? We now know to go short. Why do we know to go short? We know to go short because we've just stopped hunted the injection, the daily injection, right? And what else do we have now? Another purple imbalance, right? A black candle here, right? So now that we've started with a black candle, we must end with what? Another black candle. Black, gray, black. Here's our injection. right? We know we are supposed to be going short, right? So we should be looking for shorts until what area? Here. This is the only place I should be looking for my probable move. Not up here. Not yet. I want to be looking down here. I want to take the opposite of what this is, right? That's my next high time frame move. Let's watch what price does. You can clearly see we could have been shorting this entire time, right? Understanding that we are coming from inducement up here. Look what happens to this injection. It gets swept, right? Into what? All right, I told you every wick is an imbalance. Every wick, every OB, here's our OB. They contain wicks. We clearly tap it ever so slightly. Here we are, back into buys again. Now we know to keep buying until a new injection forms. So at this point in time, we are buying the market, and we know our bias on lower time frames intraday is to remain bullish. Here's the market exploding, and what do we already have? Another imbalance. We've started with black, now have a gray candle. What is the next thing we look for? A black candle. Here that black candle rises, we now have what? A new liquidity injection entering the market, right? As soon as this injection enters the market, we are now looking for what? Stop hunts here or here. As soon as it happens, we go the opposite direction. We see we have wicks right around here as rejection. We see we have an OB. All right, so yes, we have wicks here. Another thing to note, if we have purple imbalance, all of this is technically viable. Again, do not worry that your SL might be really, really fat here. That's okay. We're going to show you in later videos how to get even more refined entries on the lower time frames. But it is extremely important to understand how these daily and 4-hour injections work. Remember, these injections are going to tell you the overall direction of the market. They're going to tell you where the market needs to manipulate and induce in order to move a particular direction. So let's see how price moves. Already, what has happened within our injection? We are already now creating an injection within an injection. And now, again, another injection within an injection within an injection, right? What else do we notice? This injection here has entered phase 2, right? I always draw out phase 2 with the line. Phase 1, phase 2. If for chart hygiene purposes, just drag your box down. We now know we're in phase 2. You may, if you want to, you can annotate it just to understand that we are in phase 2 of the liquidity cycle. Right, and up here we are in phase 1 of the liquidity cycle. In this box here, we know we're in phase 1 of the liquidity cycle. I apologize for my dog barking. Anyways, here's that next true imbalance, right? We can see here that this next injection has been formed. And now we can understand that we now need to manipulate these lows, these highs, and these highs. Now, why did I circle this whole area like so? If our injection is super close to another injection, and I would consider this as a super close injection to this injection, then there is a chance we will stop hunt both of these, then run. Stop hunt here, then run. Stop hunt maybe phase 2, run right back up to here, then run. I'm going to show you that you can literally predict markets just by understanding where the liquidity is. It's amazing how no one is teaching this, how liquidity is showing you the true direction of the market. Right here, here's our stop hunts, right? We knew we were coming from buyers selling here, right? We need to re-enter more buys here. We're still in a bullish market, right? Now we re-entered buys here. What could theoretically happen? We could short here or here, right? Let's see. The market comes up. We're stop hunting into what? This imbalance, these wicks, like so, for us to do what? Retrace. Come right back down. Now look what happened. What did we just stop hunt? Phase 2. Right? So now we know to switch our bias back into buys. Right? And even up here is also phase 2. We can start be looking for more shorts here. Watch what happens. And it even looks like we have another injection that formed right in here. Why? As you can see, gray, gray, black, 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 end with a gray. We can now assume manipulation here or here. Let's see what happens. Here's our manipulation. We did what? Mitigate the wicks all the way up here. And now, watch how price makes its way down. Boom. We know what again? This is phase 3. This will be the last time we should mitigate and run. Where's our POI or imbalance? There's one right here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it reacts. We come down, manipulate the lows. Looks like we're trying to make our way up. We're trying to make our way up. Trying to make our way up. What happened? We manipulated. These low again, look how we're rejecting. This is what? Phase 4. I don't care about it anymore. I don't want to look at phase 4. We're at the end of our liquidity cycle. When we're at the end of our liquidity cycle, it means we're going to take all this out to the outer injection. We should expect price to come here. This will be our next main stop hunt. You can see how these injections allow you to trade the external and internal inducements. Right here is where our most external inducement is going to occur. Why? Because we have done what? Phase 1 was right here, and now we're in phase 2. Let's watch what happens. There's your stop hunt, your manipulation. Let's go back. Let's take a look. Did we catch every overall move in the market, starting with our daily injection? Well, we got in here for buys. We got in here for buys. We got in here for sells, back into buys. We hedged more buys, closed all positions, hopped into sells, closed all positions, hopped into buys, closed all positions, hopped into sells, closed all positions, hopped right back into buys. Now we have phase 2 right here. We have another injection right here, right? We are looking to find manipulation here or here for the next move. Look what happened. What just happened? Price came out, took out this. Doesn't look like we got a nice retracement of it. It's okay. We're going to have losers. Who knows? We may not have even gotten an entry on the lower time frames, which is where I primarily look for entries. But you can clearly see that prices come all the way back up to these highs, back at phase 1 that we drew in originally, manipulated, and dropped. Right? You can clearly see how we're identifying direction of the market, not based off of structure, but through the injections of the market. Right? We're clearly inducing a high or low and then going the opposite way. There's no break of structure, just liquidity grabs, just liquidity sweeps. Liquidity sweeps are going to catalyze your moves. We have a new imbalance coming in. We can even draw a brand new, or now we can't. So here's something important to understand. When we have a yellow imbalance directly followed by another imbalance, we trust the most recent imbalance. Our purple imbalances come in, black, black, gray, black. You know there is an injection, right? This is all rule-based. It is all objective. we now know what? We can have stop hunts coming in to these wicks here, right? Or these wicks here, whichever one's mitigated first. Which one gets mitigated first? Boom. We hit the wicks, and we run. Here we are in the buys. You see how we grab these entries? You see how crazy this is? This is what blows people's minds, are the injections. It will tell you every move that is going on in the market. And if you are strictly patient for these moves in the market, you will be an amazing trader. Here we go, another purple imbalance, black, gray. Let's do it again, repeat. Here's another black candle, brand new injection. Let's draw out our injection. Let's take a look at what happens. Injection. Where's the manipulation? Manipulation here to what? These wicks. Now it does look like we did go a little bit higher, eventually hit BE. Happens. Part of trading, we're going to take losses. Eventually, it comes back up though. Let's watch what happens to the top of the box. Manipulates the top of the box ever so slightly. Top of the injection. Now we're going to do what? Move down. This is also what? Phase 2. Right here. Watch what happens. Manipulated. Rejected. Raid and ran. Raid and run. We know we're going to get taken out again. Phase 3. Manipulated. Ran. You see how this works? You see how this works? Now, we can come back up to our older injections. This one's phase 2 up here. Drag it across. What happens? Market melts. Until phase 3, right? And phase 1 of the outer injections. We're breaking out over here. What's going to happen? We melt. Boom. I just ran through so many examples back to back to back of how price is constantly doing this on a really an everyday, day-to-day basis, just on the daily and 4-hour. And you can see how extravagant these moves are. This is the basis of how to draw in liquidity injections, right? These are liquidity injection inducements. We also now understand the liquidity cycles. There being phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We also understand that there are raid and run hunts. Raid and run hunts are where price wicks the injection. Medium hunts is where we have one candle closure outside of the injection. Crowdsource hunts are where we have 1 to 3 candle closures outside of the injection. Those 1 to 3 candle closures can be used as a POI. Remember, the medium hunts can be used as a POI or they're going to get taken out. The R&R hunts are most likely going to get taken out. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense, right? Again, this is all just conceptual as of right now. We're going to see in later videos how to put it all together, right? Because this is going to come into play with algo structure. These injections are going to show us how to trade algo structure. But hopefully you can see how this is algorithmic already. Drawing in the injection, waiting for the manipulation, coming out to find manipulation of a brand new other injection, right? This is happening all the time. Go back test. Look at all these imbalances occurring, right? And you're going to see this happening all the time. Even here, look, gray, black, gray, injection, manipulation, reversal. It's not going to be precise until we're moving into the lower time frames, but just get the idea, right? Just get the idea. Come over here, gray, black, gray, injection, manipulation outside of the box. You can see we're hitting all of this imbalance causing price to reverse, right? Even here, a bunch of gray, black, gray, our manipulative range, right? Manipulation, boom, manipulation down here, boom. Hopefully it's starting to catch on a bit. This one obviously didn't work out so well. Happens. Let's do another one. Black, gray, black, manipulative range. Clearly see what? Stop hunts out of the highs here. Price runs. If I haven't given you this indicator, please DM me personally and or put it in the VIP chat and I will send it out to you. This is some of my hard work. It has taken me years to develop this. Years. Please do not give this away. This is why I am charging a price for it, is because this is my thinking. This is what I came up with. I'm proud of it. I value my hard work. Hopefully you guys can now profit off of it. I really want you to understand that this is not just a matter of game of analyzing, right? These trades take a long time to happen, right? You can clearly see this happen November 29th, November 30th, then a whole week later, December 7th, then almost 3 days later, December 10th. Eventually they'll be back to back to back. Some days they won't. This requires patience. Sit on your hands, all right? If you have to sit on your hands, please do. Do not overtrade. I've clearly shown that this works on of course I went through bar replay, but as you guys are in the VIP chats, you're seeing that I'm doing this live for you every single day. I'm hitting these live for you every single day to show you how this is working. Right? If you don't understand it now, that's okay. I'm going to give you a plethora of examples in my breakdowns. Hopefully this makes sense. If it doesn't, you have this video forever. I'll see you guys in the third video.